Of the Board of Fair Commissioners. Okay. Call this meeting of the September meeting of the Board of Fair Commissioners to order. As information for our audience, if you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Board of Fair Commissioners today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the board's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact your own independent legal counsel. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous month's meeting. We have the minutes here in our packets for the commissioners to review. And whenever you're ready, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Hearing a motion in a second, we'll call the vote. All in favor of approving of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The August minutes are approved. Yeah. That brings us to public comment time. We have a total of 15 minutes for public comment time, and any individuals wishing to make a public comment shall limit their comments to 2 minutes. Do we have any public comments? Okay. Moving on to monthly reports and the finance reports. Latrice.
Good morning, everyone. The financial information presented today is preliminary, and our revenue and expenses for August 2021 may not have been recorded to the ledgers as of September 13th, 2021, when this report was created. The preliminary actuals through August 2021 are as follows. Revenue, $130,724. Expenditures are around $271,777, resulting in a net loss of approximately $141,053. Depreciation expense is $0, so the total net loss is roughly $141,053. Below you will find an itemized list of our expenditures. Our top 3 expenses are payroll, utilities, and insurance/LOCAP. Payroll expense is approximately $110,838, which represents 41% of our total expenses. Utilities expense is $62,600, which is 23%. Insurance, permits, and LOCAP expense is $27,572, which is 10% of our total expenses. You will notice that payroll expense is the same as it was last month because those expenses for the month of August have not posted to the ledger yet. Last month, we anticipated collecting $69,890 in revenue. We have received approximately $80,700 in revenue, largely due to revenue collected from this SRX race. For the month of September, for this month, our revenue projection is approximately $88,690. We anticipate 42% collection from outside space. When you enter the campus today, you probably noticed carnival rides and games. Thrillville is on campus and they're hosting a carnival, and we're very excited about that. We anticipate 23% collection from parking and 21% from our outdoor-only flea market that will be held later this month. On the agent report this month, we have $3,935 in outstanding invoices, which is quite different from last month. Last month, we had over $11,000. We have since collected the revenue from the unpaid invoices from last month. And with that said, I would like to yield and ask Scott Wallace to provide more information regarding our current outstanding invoices.
Good morning. The outstanding invoices, as you see in your packet, we anticipate getting the money. It's just it coming from a point of bereavement that the individuals are dealing with. We have no thought that we won't get the money. If it wasn't going to deal with it, we would have it. So we don't have any problem with that or going any further with it. We appreciate what the finance department has done to help us to make sure that we collect, and the systems that are in now, as you see, we used to have a lot of things in our AR report, but now it's dwindling and it's going to take time, but we're working through it. Any questions? Thank you.
This concludes the financial report.
Thanks very much, Therese. The next item we have is Executive Director's Report. Laura.
Good morning, and I think I see Councilman Cash here. Just wanted to acknowledge that he has come. Councilman, do you have anything that you'd like to say since you... Oh, awesome, very good, welcome. So I just have two quick things. One is, Therese had reported in previous board meetings that we had received approval for a grant of HUD funding through MDHA and their Community Development Block Grant. What that grant gives us is approximately $663,000, which is a reimbursement for the use of this facility for the shelter operations during the pandemic. Costs that were eligible for reimbursement include depreciation during that time and property insurance related to this building. So that amount, while we've received it, we are in the process of going through council. Since it is a grant, we do need council to grant us authorization to accept that funding. So that will be going through, I believe, this next council cycle. So that is an update on that funding. Additionally, just an update on the phase 2 of the public art program. So you'll recall that we had originally 2 phases to our public art, which is a 1% fund that was created when we did this building. And we have already procured phase 1 and had identified artist Blessing Hancock. She's going to be producing a signature art piece for the campus, and that process is underway through community engagement and the design process. But there was always a phase 2 that was part of this project, and it involves local artists, and it is more of a functional art. So it could be things like seating, benches maybe, artistic bike racks, things that, we can use around the campus. That phase 2 is going to be starting the procurement process, and Commissioner Bergeron is going to participate in that phase. And then we also we're asked to find a Fairgrounds stakeholder, a customer, a supporter who would be interested in participating. So Melissa Smithson has agreed to, as a community member, to participate in that process as well. So really excited for that phase 2 process. Like I said, those will involve local artists only, and it'll be exclusive to Middle Tennessee. So that's going to be a fun project.
Thank you very much, Laura. Let's see, next we have event update.
So as Scott comes up, since we talk about this a lot, I decided that it more appropriate be up in the monthly report section of our agenda. I think it's a good idea just to keep the board informed on a monthly basis, so this will continue to be a standing item in that section.
Thank you. As Patrice mentioned, we have a carnival that's going to last to this Sunday. It's called Thrillville, and they have come in and done a yeoman's job with the small layout that we have and dealing with construction. We've had numerous meetings with construction, and we appreciate them being forefront of this conversation, because you have to deal with where the rides are going to go, where the people are going to stay, the carnies, and also with parking. And it's been very limited issues that we've had, so we appreciate that. In the month of October, we also, sorry, before I go to move October, this weekend, we're going to learn a lot, because we have a boxing match this Friday. So we're going to have boxing, the carnival, and a race all at the same time. So we're going to learn a lot about how many people we can get here and what we can do to kind of make things work. We've been in meetings with Christmas Village about parking, and so we have some different ideas. And again, like I always say, we love challenges. We love to be able to rise to the occasion when we have a challenge. And we knew that parking would be a challenge, but so far we've made pretty good efforts in making sure that things are as seamless as possible. But going on to this weekend, we feel like we can make it work. So Friday night boxing match with a race, and also Thrillville. Starting in October, we're going to finally open up all 3 buildings and be able to have events in all 3 buildings. We're excited about that. It's been a challenge, but again, the challenges that come to us, we just work through it. And so, with all that being said, just understand that it's taking time, but we're making this thing work. And if you have any questions, that's the end of my presentation.
Thanks, Scott. One quick question on Friday. There had been some discussion with you and Laura offline about Friday night and the race Friday night. I think that there'd been a little confusion back in December, January timeframe, because the schedule we got listed Friday night as being an open practice, which is, far and away the norm, right? Friday nights are, and I'm just bringing this for information. Friday nights are, the norm is open practice or qualifying, not actual racing. That's usually almost always 99.9% of the time what occurs, right? Other than All-America 400 weekend, of course. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And so with them actually staging racing on a very rare occasion this Friday, they do understand that the contract it has a 3 to 9 p.m. only window on Friday, right, for motorsports activities. Have they kind of acknowledged? There was a little confusion, but have they acknowledged that now?
We've had a conversation about that, and they have made it clear that they're going to try their best to make sure that 9 o'clock curfew is being withheld.
Okay. And also the 3 p.m. start time, since school is in session.
Correct, because
okay.
that's a rule that we have on
Okay.
Friday, or any weekday, I should say.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure, and just wanted to kind of bring that out there as we have discussions for the board, that what goes on right now on Friday nights is qualifying. It's not it's not racing, and this is extraordinarily out of the norm. But just wanted to appreciate the event update. Thank you.
Thank you.
I too have one question. Given the scope of the construction that's going on all over the place, and the Thrillville being set up, and then the other 2 activities on Friday night particularly, what's the parking plan?
The parking plan is that the racing fans will park in the back in the park. Thrillville uses what we call Lot 5, which you can remember was up by the sports arena, the parking up there. then the boxing fans will come through the Nolensville Road gate and park behind here in the sheds. So that's the plan. And, you know, we're going to have a lot of communication to go out for that. Each one of the promoters understand that that's the plan, and they have communicated with their people, their patrons, to be able to use that thing. Now, not always do people read and remember. You have people that come that know where they park and then remember where they park every time, and so that's what they do. So we have told them that if someone from the carnival comes to the back, then we will tell them how to get to the carnival. We won't tell them, you know, oh, you got to jump back in your car, because it's going to take time and frustration from that person. So we have a plan, but hopefully that plan will work, and we'll make out. I don't want to say to Commissioner Weiner, thank you for the bar exam, and we're going to be in a few days in a meeting about that, and that's exciting. We've already done that before, and I appreciate you bringing that to our attention again.
You're so welcome, and you do a great job.
Thank you.
The bar exam's being given here?
Yes, sir. So those are your people.
Gives me,
Yeah.
you see a couple guys up here shuddering at the thought of that.
Yeah. Maybe I get a little bit smarter with them here again, hopefully. Go ahead.
Thank you, Scott, for the update. With us, with the buildings opening up in October and us, you know, trying to get to normal operations, just kind of curious from a feedback standpoint from promoters and whatnot, what are you hearing and seeing, and what does our pipeline look like from, you know, October moving forward?
We are pretty much booked from October on to, you remember the first part of the year, the first quarter of the year, we always have these signature events. They are all still coming. I haven't had anyone say, I've had one promoter that's kind of want to say, well, I'm going to, keep my eye on it, but everybody else is full steam ahead. I just was in a conversation yesterday with the Exotic Pet Show, and they are ready. They're coming in the first weekend of October, and that's a huge event for us. Their tickets, I believe, are $2, so people can come. They want more people to come to be able to see the animals and things like that. So with that being said, the promoters are excited about everything, and we have made sure that they understand the mask mandate that's been put forth by the mayor's office, and they are willing to do that as well.
Great. I guess maybe the next question, maybe for Laura or maybe Alex, is just thinking through that, we have the mask mandate from the mayor's office now, but how are we looking at it, let's say, 3 months from now? What flexibility do we have to, implement our own if needed, or board feels needed, or, et cetera, et cetera? Just kind of curious how that's going to work now we're going back to normal operations.
So it's probably a good time to talk about this a little bit. As you know, that we had always targeted September to fully reopen the flea market. Because of the rising COVID numbers, we had made a business decision, a health and safety decision, that we were going to stay with an outdoor market only for September. I think that was a very wise and prudent decision under the circumstances. With October, knowing that we had a full schedule, we will continue to be in contact with Metro Public Health and administration on especially Metro's response to some of the new guidance that has come out from the White House on entertainment venues and such. So I know that Metro is reviewing those mandates that are coming out of Washington, and see how those could impact Metro. And as a entertainment venue, we also see local, it was just announced this morning that Bridgestone was going to be requiring proof of vaccination or negative COVID tests. I know Municipal is in the same boat with their live events. So a lot of venues are going towards that type of entry requirements, and I think we're going to leave our options open at this point and just stay in communication with Metro Public Health.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. and I guess moment of personal privilege, I just want to recognize the executive director's efforts in trying to keep everybody safe at these events. It's not an easy time to do what's right. And so I just want to recognize the executive director for making what I thought was the right decision to have the September flea market remain outdoors. And, you know, folks who might be upset about that should direct their energy to getting more people vaccinated so we can all get through this and get back to life together. But thank you, Director Womack, for making hard decisions and choices.
Okay. One follow-up question. Thank you. I agree. Thank you for your steadfastness in this trying times. But I was curious, you were talking about the municipal being there, pretty like-minded organization, I would say. What did their board make that decision, or how did they go about it? Do you know?
I don't know if their board, you know, authorized or voted on it. You know, I always call over there just to kind of see, you know, what other venues are doing. And in light of the mayor's executive order, when we have events or say processes or procedures that may need some adjustment based on a business need that maybe, I'll give you an example, the mask mandate. We've got the boxing match coming up. And so our question was to the promoter, what's the plan for the boxers? Are they boxing with masks on? If they aren't, then we need an alternate plan that is documented and approved by the Metro Public Health Department. And so they did provide that. That procedure was approved by Metro Public Health. And so, you know, we have a little bit of business flexibility in that regard. So that kind of gives that extra layer of evaluation and approval when things are just a little bit different. But we're going to be social distancing. We're going to obviously keep the mask mandate in place. There's going to be a safety zone around, a 15-foot safety area around the ring. But the boxers themselves and the performers are going to be vaccinated and tested.
Thank you. And I guess also just be curious how we probably track more closely aligned to the Music City Center and just, you know, what kind of policies they're putting in place too. So they'll keep in coordination is probably more of a good analogy. Thanks.
Well, and I think what we're seeing, especially in entertainment venues, is the artist community oftentimes are driving those decisions for vaccination or negative testing or just vaccination. So, you know, it's usually the promoters and artists that drive that conversation.
I have one more question. And again, Laura, everything you've done surrounding the whole pandemic issue, I fully support and appreciate, because it's not been anywhere near easy. Having said that, my one question I have is, when do you believe that we'll get some direction from the mayor's office and the health department insofar as the mandates that are coming down from the White House?
The communication that we've received so far from Human Resources is that they've received them and they're studying them and more to come. So I don't know what the timeline is on that, but I know that they're taking it, you know, obviously very seriously and making that review a priority and in order to apply it to what we do here at Metro. So I'll be keeping an eye out, but I don't know what the timeline is yet.
Any other questions or discussion on that? Great. Moving forward to old business. First item, Fairgrounds Improvement Project, Stadium Mixed Use Infrastructure Update. Who are we going to hear from first here? Ms. Guevara, good morning.
Good morning. And if we can also get someone to operate the slides. So my update will be brief. And as you look at the slide here, you can see that significant improvement has been made on the site since the final beam was installed at the end of August. And this is from the south end, which is really kind of the back of the house, looking towards downtown. Next slide. This is the view from the Northeast Plaza, and this is where the supporters will enter the stadium. And you can see the progress on the roof continues, as well as the related infrastructure. And the next slide. So in the upper right, and there's a little bit of glare, but all of the seats have been installed in the south end of the stadium. To the right, you can see the progress on the interior. And then down below on the left, progress continues on the west side of the stadium where the premium areas are located. And then the final area where they're completing the seating bowl is in the northeast corner. And this is directly below kind of what's the front gate to the stadium. The goal is to get the pitch cleared so they can begin the field work later this fall. And everything remains on budget and on schedule. And if anyone has questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you. Thanks.
Good morning, board, council, staff. I'll be reporting both my traditional budgetary update based on the dashboards, but I will also be giving a diversity business update. Ms. Roxanne Bethune would have been here to ecstatically give the report, but unfortunately she's in New Orleans dealing with a little bit of the fallout from Hurricane Ida. But I'll be going through the budget dashboard. Also have Mr. Ron Gobble who'll be joining me in case there are other questions, and then I'll circle back around to give the diversity budget update just to let you know about my time up here at the podium. But first, I'll start with the budget update as usual. Hopefully you all have in front of you the budget dashboards representative of Fairgrounds improvement projects as well as Fair Park projects. If they're in color, one will be blue and one will be green in terms of the sections that you have in front of you. So I'll start with the Fairgrounds improvement projects. Not a lot of movement, just overall from the last time I reported here at the board meeting last month. A total of approximately $155,000 of spend has been captured. That is primarily related to the multi-purpose building and maintenance area. I'm not sure if any of you have had a chance to go by that area at all in the past several weeks. A lot of progress has been made in terms of site development. I believe it's Tuesday or Thursday of this week, we'll be doing a concrete pour. And then later this month, we will receive the building materials for building erection. So we're progressing there quite nicely, but that is essentially where over 95% of the dollars spent between last month and this month have been captured. That does bring the overall for that particular budget area to just about 20%, which is pretty comparable to what I would say we are in terms of that project. Again, not a lot of movement on the other areas, but to date, a grand total spend of $38.7 million with a remainder of about $2.25 million related to fairgrounds and improvement projects. Tracking well there, working closely with Satrice as we continue to update our budgets there and following along with FF&E costs. Again, as I reported last month, that area has been what I would say the accordion for all of the improvement projects, and as the fairgrounds has continued to operate in its new space, there's still a lot of information about what we need to best operate. And so as we continue to progress, there's the opportunity to add more and more to that bucket. So thankfully we've been tracking good in all of our projected areas, continue to have funds to go towards FF&E, and so that'll be an area of spend that'll continue through the fall as well. There aren't any questions about that particular sheet, I'll ask that you turn and look at the green sheet dedicated to the Fair Park areas. I'll let you know that there's been a new addition, so a completely separate section from what you've seen in months before. That addition is to capture Fair Park Phase 2. So we highlighted that briefly last month when we were speaking, both myself and Mr. Gobble. But what you'll notice is Fair Park Phase 1, first of all, there's been no spend reflected there, but we are still monitoring and tracking those dollars. But I've created the separate section for Fair Park Phase 2 just to represent the allocation of funding there and our projected cost in each category related to construction, design, project management. We've started to gear our team up for that work, but no dollars have been captured there yet. Again, as I report these numbers, everything that's presented to you here is about 45 to 60 days in arrears of actual activity. So we have started some early conversations and meetings about that project. None of those dollars are captured here as of yet because invoicing has not been received and processed. Would open it up for any questions related to either the previous page or the secondary page of the budgetary dashboard.
Thank you, Ed, for that overview. Maybe just, something for next month, since it's been so long and we've had a detailed discussion about Phase 2 for Fair Park, providing an overview of what that actually entails and planning and whatnot. I think would be a good refresher for me at least, especially as these things sounds like it's starting to coalesce around some finality around some of this project. Thank you.
Definitely understood. Other questions? You prefer if I go ahead and do the DB report? Okay, absolutely, not a problem. So, board, council, staff, you should also have in your packets another sheet, yet another sheet, titled Fairgrounds Improvement Projects DBE Update. Again, Ms. Bethune would have been given this report, but I'm extremely excited to report in her stead because I think there's been just a fantastic amount of effort as well as success representative in the numbers that I'll be presenting to you this morning. Just want to call attention at the very top of that page. The figures here are only reflective through the end of July of this year. Our reporting, our tracking and reporting of this is based off of invoices that we can support as having received, reviewed, and verification of payment. And so as far as we've gotten is through July invoicing. So I just wanted to call that out. And then I've broken those into categories, very similar to how our budget dashboards are broken into. So Roxanne and I work very closely in developing these because the utilization percentages are based off of dollars spent. But from a construction standpoint, I definitely want to highlight those firms that have performed the work or led the performance of the work. The construction of the Expo Center as we're standing in now and the area around it in the sheds and arena with Skanska. The demolition of the buildings that were up on the hill, now home to where the MLS Stadium is being constructed. That work was done by Renascent. And then the multi-use and the maintenance area is currently being performed by K&J Associates. In total, we've utilized 16 WBEs, women-owned businesses, 12 minority-owned businesses, and 5 small business entities throughout the collection of that construction work to date. We achieved 27% participation on the non-Expo related construction that Skanska performed. So that includes Fair Park Phase 1, as well as all of the work that has taken place at the grandstands prior to and during the construction of the Expo Center. The Expo Center itself, which was also performed by Skanska, achieved 31% participation. That number is not finalized because under Skanska, they are still doing a little bit of work in Expo 1 that they'll be completing shortly. But that work compared to the total project cost is very small. So that 31% is probably pretty accurately where we will land, but just wanted to make that note. And then jump into what I would say the smaller projects, or the more simplified scope projects, the demolition was 100% diversity business participation. Again, that was led by Renaissance, a woman-owned business, and they handled that work for us. And then the maintenance area that's being constructed now by K&J. K&J is a small business, and so they're our general contractor performing work on that project. And so 100% of those dollars are reflected as part of our reporting as diversity business utilization. And so that brings the total diversity businesses to 33, and to date, $14.2 million spent with small, women-owned, minority-owned, and service-disabled veteran businesses related to projects that have been managed by our project team out here on the site, which is fantastic. The design and engineering, so the architects, engineers, and all the consultants that are under the Atkinson and Associates contract consist of 6 small business entities. There's 4 women-owned businesses and 1 minority-owned business entity that's participated on the project since the inception of that contract and the start of the work. To date, they're at about 94% participation. Atkinson themselves are a small business, and so a lot of their team members are also complementary diversity businesses, so they have a very high participation on their contract. So a total of 11 DBEs with just over $2.6 million spent to date in the design and engineering areas. And then the project management and communication areas, led by GHP, has consisted of, in totality of projects, the project management area, 2 women-owned businesses, 2 minority-owned businesses, and 1 small business entity. Through July, all of those businesses and the funding through that has been 100% diversity business. Just under 60% of those funds have been with WBEs led by GHP. 41% has been with MBEs. And for the total of those 5 DBEs, there's been over $2.4 million of spend to date. And so what that has done for the collective projects that are on site that are tracked by our team, we have just about 40% participation, a total of 47 DBEs, and just over $19 million paid to date, about $19.2 million paid to date across the diversity businesses that have been engaged to act on this project, whether it be construction, whether it be design, management, communications, or any other specialty consulting services, which is really great. I mean, extremely high participation numbers, fantastic, and I'm really glad to have been a part of that. And I know Roxanne she'd probably be shouting it a lot louder and asking people to clap. She's a little more animated than I am, but these are numbers that we're really proud of. I want to make sure that's felt. And then also I do want to say there is still dollars being tracked. So while this report's really good, it is not the final reporting. Again, I did mention previously the Expo 1 work that'll be done here soon through Skanska. We do also have the wrapping up of the maintenance area by K&J Associates. And then as Commissioner Hemmer asked about Fair Park Phase 2, we do still intend to track diversity business participation there as well. Several contracts, both the Atkinson contract and the GHP contract, will be going forward, so we'll be capturing those dollars as well. But I think it's very good to report this kind of moment in time snapshot of where we are, all that we've done. And if there are questions about the diversity business participation, happy to answer those.
Thank you, Ed, for that. That was good, thorough, and congratulations to you and Roxanne on that. One other item, would you mind emailing us the report, the DB report you do for the stadium? I know it's for the Sports Authority, but I think it's just important for us to take a look at that as well. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Other question?
Thank you, Ed.
Board.
I really don't have much else to add. I do want to express my extreme appreciation to Laura Scott and her staff for working with everybody out here. Anybody who's ever lived through a construction project knows how difficult that can be. You can only imagine when every aspect of the site has some kind of construction going on, with 3 general contractors and constant coordination, and every one of them has to be a good player to make that work. So they have done an excellent job of working around, and when we get an issue pop up, they work for solutions, not to just highlight problems. And so, first of all, I want to express my appreciation for that. I think that Ed did an excellent job, as always, of covering the main projects, except for infrastructure. The infrastructure project is, again, a sports authority's project. It's, if you look at it right now, they're starting framing on the bridge. It's the extension of Wedgwood and Benton Avenue. It's on schedule. We're looking to have it completed sometime mid-year next year. So it's moving along. We're moving a lot of dirt. So any other questions about any of the projects that I can answer? Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ron. And thank you, Commissioner Hemmer, for that request as to Phase 2 Fair Park. I, too, would love to get an update. Okay, moving on. Bristol Motor Speedway updates.
As you know, this is a standing item. The city continues to work through the finance analysis, and that's pretty much where we are at the moment, is just waiting for that process to finish up, and that's it.
Thanks, Director Womack. I know the financial issues with that continue to be a heavy burden to work through, and obviously a lot of the Fair Board members still have dozens of questions after that about details that we're still waiting for answers on after many months. Moving on, community impact Speedway policy discussion and consideration. This is my standing item. I appreciate the continued inclusion and the importance of community impact in the discussions we have about the future of Speedway. Won't take up much time this time. Just again, repeating the magic numbers of where we need to get to. 8 race weekends, 15 track rentals, 9 race weekends and 12 track rentals, or 10 race weekends and 10 track rentals. Gonna keep saying those numbers. That's important. So appreciate everyone's time. Moving on, Divisional Fair update. Laura?
Yeah, so there's just some kind of behind the scenes stuff that we're working through. At this point, we're just working with HR on job description and posting. I will add, we got a chance, so the carnival company that's here, the ride owner, is North American Midway, and they have been at the fairgrounds in support when the state fair was here for the carnival for the last 10 years. And I had the opportunity to meet with their owner during setup, and he expressed how excited he was to see the construction underway and the improvements, and he's just made sure to tell me how exciting the thought is of coming into a new and renovated campus to put on a fair moving forward.
Great, it's great to hear. Lots of excitement and a lot of opportunities with the fair. I know I'm really excited about what we're going to do next with that. Let's see, next item is campus safety and security discussion.
So originally, this is Chair McAnally's agenda item, kind of was considered and originally put on the agenda after some pretty severe weather at an outdoor event. I think it was the Garth Brooks concert at Nissan Stadium, and I think she just wanted to make sure that when the stadium opens, and certainly we'll be working with Nashville SC and certainly with all of our current events at the Speedway or Flea Market, we have always contemplated inclement weather and what those procedures are. So we're going to continue to look through those and make sure that, you know, we are communicating well with our outdoor dealers and our promoters on what those practices are if inclement weather does come up. On another note, which we already covered, was our response to the pandemic and COVID, and we covered that in the earlier item. And again, I'll just reiterate that we're going to be staying in close contact with Metro Public Health moving forward into October. And I will tell you too that Metro Public Health, we had invited them to have host a vaccination clinic here during the flea market. They have accepted. They're going to be here from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sunday of the flea market. They will be providing free COVID vaccinations, as well as I believe they're also going to have a testing location here as well.
That's excellent news. Love to hear that. Thank you. Moving on to new business. I think the first item is a presentation on market spread.
Yes, this is a long time coming and very much a team effort. We've got probably 8 of us, and you know, we're a staff of 17, so having half our staff really diving in and to work on this project has been incredible. It's been challenging. I think it's been frustrating at some parts. I mean, if anybody has ever gone through a full software conversion, you feel our pain. But this is a long time coming. We had our previous system for, I think, over 35 years, and we, in the presentation that you're going to see, which is going to be presented by Catrice and members of the flea market, Marianne and Misty and Allison, thank you for being brave and trying to explain this new system and everything that's going into it. But we thought it really important for y'all to see the difference between our current system that we're using and the new system that we're going to. So I'm going to turn it over to them, and I want to thank everybody who's been involved in this market spread conversion, including, of course, Scott and Molly on the event side. Thank you so much for all your effort to date, and we look forward to getting full implementation, hopefully in the next 30 days.
Good morning. I'm Mary Ann Smith, the flea market manager. Well, as Laura said, for about 35 years, we have used the same system for our reservations and events. And that system is called the UV term. The UV term consumed a great deal of time in making interactions with the vendors, making reservations, mailing invoices, and lots of phone calls. I have 2 permanent dealers in my office, which is Misty Reynolds and Allison Hamer and myself. And we also have Catrice, who is with the finance part of our office. But all 3 of them have really been working hard on this program because it's different. But we're excited about market spread, and to help make the system work, we are hoping our presentation will show the changes that we're having to make to do reservations and everything else that I've mentioned. I believe the vendors will be excited about market spread because they will be able to go online, make their own reservations, make their payments online by credit card. Now, Catrice will go over her part of the presentation. Okay?
The flea market office is transforming and evolving, and it's exciting. The flea market staff has worked diligently on their business process management. The staff has taken a critical look at its processes identified areas of improvement, and has established and is continuing to create and implement policies and procedures to better streamline its business practices. So you may wonder, what is changing, or what has changed in the flea market office? Well, first, personnel has slightly changed. As Ms. Marianne mentioned before, there's 3 full-time members in the flea market office, Allison being one of the newest members. Although she's not new to the Fairgrounds, she's new to the flea market office. She possesses a wealth of knowledge as well as a skill set that's beneficial to the flea market office. The next change is processes and procedures. They continue to be evaluated and modified. For example, before items and services are procured in the flea market office, purchases are pre-approved by authorized parties through purchase requests. Another change is the time when payments are accepted. The reservation period in the past used to be the 15th of the month. Now that has been changed to about 5 to 7 business days within the month, depending on that particular month. So all rented items, booths, equipment, table and chairs, they all must be reserved and paid for within the reservation period. So there no longer will be payments accepted during the actual flea market. This change allows the staff opportunity to reconcile all payments. They're able to make sure entries are accurately entered into the reservation system, properly recorded in the accounting system, and they're able to check to make sure credit card payments reconcile the data point, which is our current credit card processing system. Essentially, this change allows more time to do the checks and balances. Another thing that has changed are some of our fees and services that we provide. Ms. Marianne will talk a little later about those changes. Lastly, we are thrilled about our new online reservation system called Market Spread. Misty and Allison will present an overview of the system, followed by a presentation from Ms. Marianne explaining the proposed fee changes.
Good morning. For the past 35 years, the reservation system the Fairgrounds has used is UV-Turf. While the reservation system has been useful for our booking process, it has also had many limitations. Market Spread is geared towards building a stronger profile and processing for dealers and staff. Market Spread will not only be a step forward towards up-to-date technological advancements excuse me, for the flea market, but will also provide the ability for dealers, customers, and our event promoters to stay connected 24/7. Here are some examples of the management aspect of the Market Spread. Profiles for dealers will be accessible and manageable 24/7. Accounts now are only accessed during the business hours. Invoicing is more advanced and thoroughly detailed. The vendor has more control over their accounts. Scheduling is more uniform and precise. Mapping will be accessible 24/7 to dealers and customers. This helps with location, placement, and directory. The day of events, we as employees can access dealers' profiles from the Market Spread app on any smart device or smartphone. Reporting and metrics will be more accurate. This will help the finance department to better analyze data. And then on the left, we have our current reservation system. Each individual space is manually typed in. Each month by myself, Allison, and Marianne, we spend around a week booking and placing around 340 permanent dealers in over 940 booth spaces. This is not an easy task. We are responsible for precise placement of each dealer, along with rentals and certification. This all is processed over the phone. During our spring and fall market, the number of dealers increased to 520 dealers in booth spaces of around 1,400. Invoicing is printed, hand-folded, and placed in envelopes. So you can imagine how many paper cuts we go through. Market spread will allow the dealers to be more hands-on with their accounts and give more control. Booking for the flea market staff can be done with a click of a mouse. Communication will be via email to free up staff for processing and reconciliation of payments. Mapping with UV term was unavailable. So as you can see, our handy maps on the left-hand side, those are all handwritten numbers, and we had physical copies to go off of. With market spread, it gives our staff, dealers, and customers the ability to see placement as well as dealer services, links to social media and their websites, as well as email. And then these are some examples of what market spread will offer. And this is just a glance at what processes myself and the flea market staff do monthly to balance the flea market. Now Allison will do the media and marketing.
Good morning, everyone. I will be discussing the media and marketing aspect of market spread. Media and marketing aspect of market spread is it will be very beneficial to all of our vendors and to the general public. Vendors will have the ability to create their own profiles for free within market spread. This will allow the vendors to have a direct line of communication, not only with the Nashville Flea Market staff, but with their clientele. The public will have the ability to search the market spread vendor database for vendors based off of location and keywords. This goes hand in hand with the SEO search database and keywords. Vendors will have the ability to track clientele growth through customer tracking and distribution lists. Next slide. As stated previously, vendors will have the ability to create free vendor profiles and have high visibility with the geo-aware search. Vendors will also have the ability to start their own virtual storefront with their profiles. As you can see at the bottom of this slide, there's many options that they can utilize to start their virtual marketplace. And essentially with the system, the staff will be able to send mass texting to all of the vendors and emails. And this will help us to get messaging to them a lot quicker. Next slide. And I assume this is just something that Misty and I have basically just all gone over. Basically, all of those points go into market spread, which will help us make reports that will be very helpful and look a lot better than what we had in the past. And that's it. Mary Ann?
I will also note, as Mary Ann comes up, Nashville Farmers Market uses this system as well. That's kind of how we discovered it, and so that has proven to be a very effective tool for farmers market. This has just been adapted for our use.
I think you all have a copy of all of our proposed updates on everything that we offer to the vendors here. Our booth rates are not changing. Those were done when we first came down here from the hill, so those are staying the same. As far as the rental equipment is concerned, we have found out that we have to add tax to what we rent. Like 6-foot, 8-foot tables, they're $10 each, plus tax. The folding chairs are $5 plus tax. We are now offering pipe and drape, which is the same that is around you all here. We have not offered that to vendors before, but we are now, and it will be, that price will also be taxed. As far as the RVs are concerned, we're staying at $30 a night for our vendors. That also is taxed. License and tax. We have a $2 per day business license, and that is, let me get here. That is through the Department of Revenue, and there's something that will be added on to their booth rent. We are no longer going to do the sales tax that we have done, which has been time consuming. But now they can go with the Department of Revenue, and I think it's called TIN-TAP, and they can apply for their own business and sales tax. Let's see. We're no longer taking personal checks, so that will eliminate us having the problem of trying to collect them if they happen to come back as bad checks. We've added a late fee on Sunday night, which will, anything past, we give them up until 11 p.m. Sunday night to get all packed up and out. If they're not, then we will, it's kind of hard to see here, I'm sorry. We will add $50 for each 30-minute increment if they're not out of here as soon as possible. Property damage, the full cost or replacement will be charged to the vendor. Excessive cleanup, if they do not take all of what they brought with them back, then that will be charged to them at the cost of our removal to do it. Processing fee. There's a $5 fee that will offset additional staff time required to process certain types of payments, including cash, checks, and credit cards, which we now process over the phone. Market Spread will provide a secure online payment portal for dealers, and this will be the preferred method of payment once it's implemented. The technology fee is 1% of the booth rental. Administrative fee to offset software investment that provides significant internal process and procedural improvements, more reliable reporting, and accurate accounting. Dealers will have to access to more data, including venue maps, dealer locations. They will be able to manage their accounts online, and will have access to secure online payment portal. This 1% fee, as applied to maybe the outdoor rental, would be like an additional 75%. Then we have the rebooking after cancellation. We will add a $100 charge to those vendors that did not make their payments, and which will offset labor required to rebook a dealer in the system. And it also will serve to, I think it will make sure that these vendors will realize what they have to do. They're also going to realize what we have been doing over the years. And also no-shows. That's people that don't call us, they don't show up, they may have 2 or 3 booths that we could have rented if they had only called us to say, I can't come, but they didn't. So to rebook them, we're going to charge a fee of $100. There will be a charge for the first offense of a no-show of $50. And then after that, second offense will be $100. And they may realize that, we're in here to help them with their businesses, and they need to help us too. Do you have any questions?
Chair, I have some questions. Okay. First of all, this is great that you're going to come out of the dark ages. Looking at what you're working with right now, I can't imagine the scope of what you guys have to do. So, in Yiddish, mazel tov. This is really good. Couple of questions though. What is the basis for determining what the fees are?
What's the basis?
What's the basis for determining what your fees are? How do you make the decision how much to charge?
We charge, we determine by the booths whether they are, as you can see up at the top of the page there, it said for a regular 10 by 10 booth, we charge $115.
Right, I see that. I was just wondering how you came up with $115 for a 10 by 10 booth. How do you make that decision? And it may be a better way to ask the question, it may be, how do these rates compare to other similar facilities in similar markets? Are we way less or are we way more? And how did those decisions come about?
Well, we work with Laura, works with us, and we set a price for the booths. I've been told many, many times, of course, we're a 3-day market when we're open, all the way. But I've been told by many vendors that our prices are so much better than these around the country. And of course, we've been in the top 10 as a flea market. And that's really something to say. But for $115, you get a booth for 3 days. For $135, you get the corner booths, which are determined, because they think they are on a corner, they get more attention and so forth. But we set our fees according to what we think is best, and also for the outside people. When we came down from up on the hill, we charged the fees for the sheds and the lots, the perimeter, all of that is $75.
Laura, can you
I'll add.
help with that?
So when we moved down here, we did a fee study and looked at different markets, especially in and around this, say, regional area to compare. One of the things that we had noted up on the hill, and we did this, the board approved a whole new fee schedule when we moved down into this building. We had 18 different booth fees. And there was really no rhyme or reason because people with the same exact dimensional space were paying different fees. And it just, we wanted to standardize it and make it a lot more simplistic. So as you can see, we went down to 3 fees from 18 to standardize everything. So we absolutely look at the market. And then on some of these other fees as well, it is looking at, for instance, equipment and furniture rentals, looking at what other venues are charging, looking at what furniture rental companies are charging, also replacement. So obviously we want to be able to have a return on the purchase of like these brand new tables that you are sitting at now. While we try to stay within the market rate for what that furniture is renting, for some of the other fees, like processing fees, some of those are labor-based and some of those are deterrents, frankly, because we have a hard time sometimes with return checks or people who don't pay on time, and that it costs more labor, obviously, to do rebookings and shuffle people around once their reservation has been canceled. So some of those the technology fee, we were challenged when we looked at bringing this new system on board. We were challenged to potentially look at ways in which we could recoup some of the upfront investment costs. This system is an investment. It is $25,000 a year for the subscription cost, definitely worth it. But we also wanted to look at a way to help offset some of that expense, since, obviously we are responsible for our revenues and expenses and balancing that budget. So having that 1% technology fee, which Marianne, said it's 75 cents for an outdoor booth, that's going to help us help offset this investment that we're making. That's going to be an improvement for us internally, as well as we feel our vendors and customers.
Thank you, that's really helpful. What are the payment methodologies that are available, Laura?
So right now, it's always been check, credit card, cash. We really want to get away. I wouldn't say that we're going full cashless, but because of these reservation windows, right now it is payments over the phone. We have not been open. Our lobby really has not been open to accept cash. Some vendors will send checks, but we really want to get away from that. And that's what Market Spread's going to allow us to do for the first time, is do a secure online payment portal. So that is going to be our preferred method. The $5 fee that we are suggesting is going to help, again, offset the labor costs that it takes to process those cash, credit card, and check payments, because what that also involves is all the accounting that goes along with it, the deposits, driving to the bank, and all of those steps that will be eliminated if people use the online payment portal.
Well, and I'm assuming you too have a processing fee for the credit card transactions.
We do. So we do have a percentage and a flat fee that we are charged by the processing company, and that is also built in and has been built into these fees from the beginning. Yes.
My last question. I see that you have a first offense and a second offense for no-shows. What is the frequency that happens?
She asked what the frequency of no-shows
What
is.
the frequency?
How many?
How often?
How
do you have
often does that
no-shows?
happen?
Well, at the end of the market, that's when we count, the no-shows. I'm sorry. But it is also, we're going to go out there, we do anyway, but we go around all of these spaces. If they're empty after a certain time on Saturday morning, we consider that a no-show. And We write their names down, and then we will let them know that they are going to have to pay a penalty.
So Laura, is there an opportunity, if this is happening often enough, that after, say, the third offense, we're just not going to lease to you again because it's costing us money?
That's correct, and that's why the fee
Right.
stops after the second offense, because after that, unfortunately, I don't think we can work together anymore.
Do we as a fair board need to set a policy to support that?
You can, but you don't have to. So for you, since you're new and you were not here when we originally did the rules, we came up with a rule packet when we moved down here in an initial fee schedule. The board approved and adopted that vendor packet and gave me the ability to adjust the rules as needed administratively, with the exception of the fees. That's why you have this fee spreadsheet in front of you.
Good.
We are not going to ask you to vote on that today. We just wanted to present it, see if there was any questions, have you contemplate it, and then next month we would like you to vote on it, just to give everybody a chance to really look at these, understand them, and ask questions before we implement it. We're going to have 3 vendor webinars coming up. They are tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday night. This gives the vendors an opportunity to log in via Zoom. They will be meeting with our staff and market spread staff. They are going to walk them through how to create an account and show them the benefits of the system. So I do want to plug that too, which is 5 o'clock Central Standard Time.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Anything else?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. First of all, thank you, staff, for the great presentation. It was good information. And then secondly, I'm so sorry that I didn't realize the extent of the manualness and the fact that it looks like it was created in MS-DOS, our first one. Few questions. This will be very good, life-changing, I think, for a lot of you guys, and I think also help in more revenue creation opportunities for us. So I had a few questions or comments. First was the 1% of booth rental. What is that estimated revenue that we will potentially be based on last year's?
So based on the original calculation, which was pre-pandemic, I will give you that. The original calculation was almost a break even, so about $25,000.
Okay. And one comment I had, when you look at the technology fee, I don't know if this is going to be shared with vendors, but the way I read the last sentence, this fee as applied to an outdoor booth rental would be an additional 75 cents. I'm glad you explained that, because I took it as I read it as it would be an actual 75-cent additional fee for an outdoor booth rental. So you may want to change the wording and say, for example, this fee, as applied to an outdoor booth rental would be an additional 75 cents or something to clarify that a little bit. I read that wrong, and I feel like if I did, other people would. Secondly, I had a comment on the camper fee. So I've become a camper this year, and I bought an RV, and so I've been fully aware of RV rates, and I can say that this is well below market, and also the fact that I think it's almost like it's a nice benefit, but I don't think it should be subsidized by us to have that. Just for example, if word got out to regular people that they could stay right here in downtown Nashville for $30 a night, especially with it being more convenient booking, we probably wouldn't have any bookings for our attendees, our booth renters and promoters, etc. So I know that probably wasn't on the agenda, but there's just not a lot of this space around here, and again, I don't think it should be subsidized. So I would recommend looking at it at least a $50 a night rental. I don't know how we can do that or looking at, I know we're starting to have other things and whatnot with the marketing communications with the vendors, but maybe in the near future, I think we should look at that probably for the next year. And then last question is, will we be using this, I guess two questions. When will this be implemented, and will we be using this for other events at the Fairgrounds, the flea market?
So I'm going to take them in order. RVs.
Yeah.
This is a special discounted rate that has always been provided to the flea market.
Okay.
So our regular rates for RVs, we did increase them recently to $50.
Okay, good.
So we've also made a decision, to your point, we still have, that's a very, very competitive rate for RVs this close to downtown. But we also know that so many of our event promoters utilize those RV spaces. So from a business aspect, we are limiting the transient RV.
Okay.
Because we have limited RV spaces. We want those designated for our events. We want them designated for our flea market vendors when they come, for our event promoters to support their businesses. As you can see, we have way more RVs and trailers here with Thrillville. And so we'll be dedicating those spaces to our event promoters and our dealers, and that was a decision that we made, and you're right, very competitive. It was just a discounted rate for our vendors that we have had in place for some time and proposed to keep that discounted rate for them, but all other rates are 50.
I think that's fair.
Second is, when do we anticipate this going live? We are going to keep October flea market. Everybody's crossing their fingers that we're going to be fully ready to convert and have all of the new vendor accounts set up by October. And there is, and we failed to mention, there is an event management component. So Scott and Molly are also working with Market Spread, and this will also be used for all of our event production as well. So there is actually two components of it that we're going to be executing hopefully in October.
Okay, good. I'm assuming they have lots of online training and whatnot, so we don't have to do it for them. You can point them to XYZ website, or we can put it on our website in the FAQs to go to here.
Yes, the
YouTube,
whole system is cloud-based, subscription-based. Like I said, we're going to be doing webinars for all of our promoters and dealers. And yeah, so it's going to be really user-friendly, and they'll be able to go and create accounts really at any time.
Okay, and I'm assuming there's a CRM component as well to it?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Great. All right, thank you. Great.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. This is an exciting initiative. I appreciate all the hard work staff has put into this. That's really great. Last item, consideration of right-of-way designation. It's always an enormous honor when senior leadership at the Metro Department of Law joins us, the illustrious Mr. Cross.
Maybe not that senior.
Pretty senior.
Good morning, everybody. This is mostly a sort of a housekeeping task. As Mr. Gobble mentioned, the roadway work is well underway, and our agreements, both with respect to the MLS Stadium project and with the mixed-use project, contemplate that Metro is going to create and improve roadways to serve those new developments. And in addition, Metro's own regulations would require, particularly in the case of the mixed-use development, that there be public rights-of-way connected to those sites. So what you're being asked to do this morning is just approve the declaration of public rights-of-way for the work that's already underway and will soon be underway in connection with the mixed-use projects. Ultimately, the council is going to have to formally designate these as public rights-of-way, but they're going to want the board's recommendation. So in front of you is a proposed resolution that would do just that.
Chair, I'd be happy to move this so we can discuss it.
Okay.
So I so move that the Board of Fair Commissioners approve the resolution approving the designation of public rights-of-way.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Any discussion? Or questions for council?
So this would be a public street?
For Benton and Wedgewood, probably so. I don't think the decision has been made on the part sort of between the Speedway and 8C. That might be an alley. It's going to be some kind of a public right-of-way.
Will it be called Sherry Wiener Way?
You say Sherry Wiener Way?
Yeah.
What an excellent choice. We'll
That would be
recommend
kind
that to
of
the
hard.
council.
I'm not in Bellevue.
Can we get some
Not
sort of,
voting.
if we could get some sort of right-of-way over near the former location of the Election Commission building, we could call that Hemmer Way, you know, just in
Hemmer.
honor of your long battle.
Hemmer Roundabout, yeah.
We need to check our rules and make sure you don't have to be dead before you have something named after you.
I'd like to move approval.
Okay. We have
Second.
a motion it's been called for question for approval of the resolution approving the designation of public rights of way as reflected in the resolution. All in favor?
I think
Aye.
it's second. Yeah, second it first.
I'm sorry?
Did I need to second it? Yeah.
You need to second.
Yeah, seconded her motion to approve.
There's another, I thought we were to call the question. I'm sorry, thanks.
Yeah, she just.
We did have a motion.
to
Yeah,
approve.
I said
Motion, we had a
aye to
motion.
call the question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Approved. Yeah.
I'm a little confused procedurally where we are. I think did we add a step there or? are we-
Sorry.
So we had a second to the motion to approve, I believe, so
Okay,
then,
so then the question is before us to approve the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Resolution is approved. Thank you, Mr. Cross. Okay, that concludes the agenda for this month. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 This meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.